All right, welcome back. This is our Super Bowl wrap-up show. It's the Best Podcast. You can find us there on YouTube where you're probably watching, and we are at Best Podcast 2 on Twitter. I'm Brian. This is Harper. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl, what we thought, our impressions, go over some of the key things, and we're just going to get right into it. So overall, what do you think of the game?
Well, I know the ratings were down, but I enjoyed the game. People were saying that the defensive side of it, 13-3, a low scoring, wasn't as entertaining to watch. I compare it a lot to two Cy Young Award-winning pitchers in baseball. Low scoring game going in the eighth inning, and you just really get to watch each pitch and see how masterful the pitchers are and what they do and how they stymie the batters while they're trying to make some hits and develop some offense. In the same type of manner, I just watched what the defenses were doing and how difficult it was for both quarterbacks to be able to loosen it up, to run the game. Neither team really ran the ball well, nor did they pass with any great efficiency. So to me, hats off to both of the coordinators. They did a fantastic job. Yep. They were well prepared, and I think the defense, obviously, they outshined the offenses.
Yeah, well, the defenses were the stars. Obviously, the Patriots had a little more success rushing the ball. That no one ran for 100 yards. There wasn't a single 100-yard rusher. Michelle got close. He got to 94. He had the only touchdown of the game, too. But he never really was able to break one loose. He never really opened it up. Neither team could. Gurley had a couple runs, but they just kept pulling him out. I think something's up with him. I mean, you think he's hurt, or what do you think was up there?
Tough to say, because there were a couple of times that he looked different than what he did against the Saints. At the Saints, he kind of looked like, I'm not going to get in this game, and I know that. Where yesterday it looked like he wanted to get back in, but normally you hang out next to your coach or I guess with the offense coordinator. He was kind of off a little bit in terms of, his desire to get back in. Not that he didn't want to get back in. I understand that, but I think the team made it clear this is C.J. Anderson's series, or we're going to go with him for a little while. Be ready, but we're not going to put you right in.
Yeah.
And I think the flow for a running back, especially for a guy as good as Todd Gurley's, third, fourth quarter, when you know that there's a couple of guys that are worn out on the defense. He had a great hit up the middle, just off to the left side, gained about 14 yards, but it was called back because of a hold. So the Rams kind of kicked themselves a few times and really prevented themselves from being any type of consistent offense. Very tough for them.
Yeah, Patriots controlled the line of scrimmage the whole game. They were getting after Goff, too. I think he had sacked 5 times. Every time he's dropping back, he seems to have pressure in his face. And even when there wasn't pressure, he felt it. You could see it. A little antsy on a couple throws, a couple overthrows, underthrows, off balance, moving left, right. Van Noy, Flowers, Hightower did a phenomenal job in coverage. The secondary was really good. Everyone did really well for the Patriots. Did not hear as much on the defensive side from guys like Aaron Donald from the Rams. Secondary still played well, though, right? I mean,
Fowler and Van Noy, you've heard those names over the last couple of weeks, but Wise and some of the other guys that are in there just for one play or two. And they made a great job of getting through the Rams, especially their middle interior, in between the guards and the center. They put pressure up the middle, which is what we thought that the Rams were going to have to do to Brady. So Goff always had somebody in his face. Even Tony Romo late in the game, you got to sit in there, man. You got to get your feet set in. You got to take the hit because people are going to come open late when you're looking to scramble. So there were some problems for the Rams in blocking the whole game. And again, we give credit to the defense for doing a fantastic job. But really, there were a lot of coverage issues, too, where Ram receivers were covered. There was nowhere for him to throw anybody open.
Yeah, he took a couple of hits, too, just trying to extend plays and roll out of the pocket. He took one near the end of the first half that was pretty nasty.
Yeah. Well, the one on the sideline, and he gets up from that. He ran into a reporter or somebody on the sideline, gets up, and even Jim Nantz and Tony Romo both noticed that he was bleeding right near the elbow. So he had a rough day. Jared Goff did. But, he's 24. He'll be back, I believe. I think the team around him is good enough. But on that day, at that time when you needed it most, I think he was about a C quarterback, maybe. We'll see on film. There's one play they showed in particular where there was a guy just breaking over on a deep cross route. He threw the post behind it and didn't see it. Those are things that you wish you had back, but give credit where it's due. The Patriot defense was all over the place.
I think they mixed it up, too. No one really got comfortable in this game. Neither quarterback got comfortable. Brady was getting hit, too. He made an early mistake. Lots of check down stuff. Edelman was phenomenal with getting open. That's why he won MVP, obviously. But Edelman and Gronk were the go-to guys, which we thought they would be. They showed up when they needed to, late in the season, playoffs. With that being said, though, we get to the third quarter, and it's 3-3. It's a 3-3 game, not a lot of offense. We've seen a lot of punts. The highlight of it is what was it, Hecker's, what was it, a 65
64,
yard,
64,
64
65 yard,
punt? That
broke a record for punts.
record for longest punt.
Yeah.
So that was the highlight of the game. So
For the Rams, it was just about.
Yeah. It wasn't a boring game, though. You said it was a pitcher's duel, but, I mean, not a lot going on, especially because I feel like there are a lot of people that just didn't want to see Tom Brady there. And they want to see him lose, but they want to see him lose in exciting fashion. So I think with the whole people saying the game wasn't exciting, do you think maybe that contributed to it? Or...
Well, again, if you're looking for a lot of points and you didn't see it, and does that constitute a bad game? I don't know. I don't think so. But the inability for the Rams to do anything consistently on offense, even if they crossed the 50-yard line, there was a couple of times where I was thinking this, maybe you were. I know the announcers were thinking, hey, they got a chance. Let's see what they can do.
Oh.
And the drive would stall. And especially late in the game with 4 minutes when they really needed it. They went deep. They tried for it. They went for it. Receiver falls down, and Gilmore gets the pick and pretty much ends the Rams' chances. So the frustration that you would have as a Rams fan, they were called the Lambs on the LA Times. Lambs, not Rams. They were kind of teased for that. But you know what? They got there. Good for them. At least they got there. But the loss was something that really hurt because they didn't get a chance to get in their rhythm and really pressure any type of Patriot offense into doing more things. Yeah. So it was difficult for the Rams the whole day.
Started off like the Saints game, though. It's just instead of catching fire and getting a big play or getting something they needed at the end of the first half or early in the third quarter, it never really matriculated. They never really got anything. They never got anything going. They weren't able to come back. So
yeah, their inability to put a drive together. They have 5 or 6 3-and-outs.
Yeah.
So nothing worked on first down, or if it was close to working, then second and short ended up failing. Now it's third and short. You try different plays, and it seemed like that everything that the Rams do, or at least attempted to do, was already scouted out, and the Patriots defense had an answer for it before they even ran the play.
Right. Okay. So I kind of want to talk about Brady a little bit because this is his 6th ring.
Yeah.
It's tied. He's got more rings. Well, he's got as many rings as the Steelers. Patriots have 6 rings in total, correct? He's won all 6 of them for him.
Yep.
So
they had 2 losses previously.
Does this? I mean, there are a lot of people that already say he's the best quarterback ever. Does this cement him as the best quarterback ever?
Yeah.
This one does.
Now, the thing that I find very interesting is that because of his statistics from yesterday's ball game, and there wasn't a whole lot to him, and he admitted that. He said, I could have played better, but we did just enough to win. When he goes to the White House in a couple of weeks, one of the first things that you're going to do is you're probably going to want the whole defense to get a ribbon or a silver star or something like that,
so, yeah.
because they helped win that. If Tom Brady won the MVP, I would have asked him on a personal level, Tom, give all that money to the defense or give it to your offensive line because they helped keep you upright and made sure that even on an average day when you still won, it took a lot of others to make sure that happened. I think the acknowledgement of that is something that really needs to be made perfectly clear. That was a team win yesterday.
Oh, absolutely. But I think people are going to take away from him, which kind of isn't fair. I mean, he's 41 now? He's old. So he doesn't have to do it all himself. You don't always have to win yourself. I remember when Kobe won his 5th ring, he played horribly in that Game 7. And a lot of people criticize him for it. But, I mean, it's a team sport.
But they still won.
Right,
and they beat the Celtics, and they won another championship.
It's a team sport. I mean, he played a huge part in the 5 other ones. He played a huge part in the one getting them here initially, and then the one last year. I think people are going to try to take away from him, but a Super Bowl win's a Super Bowl win, regardless if it's 13-3 or 30-3 or whatever it is. A win's a win.
If you saw the NFL commercial with all the 100 highlight, that was fantastic. Yeah. And Tom went in very late and he had to take all his rings off. Nobody else did that. Now Montana could have done that. They had Terry Bradshaw in there, but really he's in a completely different dimension. Just totally all by himself in terms of the ability to get there, the amount of times that he have, and the success to get there. It's incredible.
Might be a little too early. Would it be fair? I guess it has to be fair to call them the favorite to get back and win again next year.
Kansas City right now is the odds-on favorite. But what I thought was interesting, and I don't know if you noticed this or not, but Tracy Woodson, she says at the end of her interview, Tom, are you going to retire? Jim Gray, Tom, are you going to retire?
No.
Jim Nantz, Tom, are you going to retire? The greatest answer of all of those that I heard was, what? And give up the chance to do this all over again?
Yeah.
Even though they've won and been there more than anybody else, the fact that it takes so much to get there and the joy that you have, I don't think they had the same enthusiasm at all like what they did in the first one against the Rams in 2001. But the fact that they did it and whatever, there's a certain sense of confidence and relief. And wow, this really is something special. I think they all notice that, and that's another part of the whole idea of him retiring that just is it's nonsense right now. As long as he can walk and do some things, he's going to stick around.
Okay. Now, obviously, the Super Bowl's a big event. There's a lot of stuff going on other than the game.
Well, what did you think? Did Atlanta shine? Did we do a great job? Did we not meet the expectations? Did we miss the mark? What was your overall thought of the game itself and the experience of the NFL coming in here, putting the game together, and then now today they're all on airplanes, they're all going home? Overall, where would you rank this one?
Well, there weren't any problems. Everything went smoothly. No one really had any issues. There wasn't anything serious that happened. The lights didn't turn off. Not hotels. No one was complaining about not having enough space. I mean, you're going to have traffic, but that's Atlanta regardless. That's going to be in February for the Super Bowl. It's going to be in the middle of the summer. It's going to be for Christmas. It really doesn't matter. You're going to have traffic. You're going to be dealing with that.
Well, you closed a few streets down, which I think added to the confusion of, well, how do I get to where I need to go when there's a street that I can't get to?
Right.
But you're right. You mentioned the traffic, and yeah, there's going to be traffic everywhere. But I think it was lesser than what it would have been, except maybe if there's a party and there's 10,000 people to show up. Right. Shaq had a big party. Atlantic Station, there was a huge area there. There was all the stuff that was going around in Centennial Park.
Falcons players.
Outside, inside, World Congress Center, there, all of it. And then you add that all together. Yeah, there's going to be some issues, but I thought it was as minimal, as you mentioned just a moment ago. There weren't a whole lot of incidences where we really had, I don't know if there were a lot of accidents. I don't know if there were delays. I don't know if there were buses that stalled. Some of those things that you really, they shed a bad light on it. When they had the one in '99, when the Rams and the Titans played, the weather was a severe factor. It was freezing for most of the week, and Atlanta really struggled because of that. Getting back into the loop of being able to be a city that could entertain it. Well, if the weather's going to be like that, we don't want that. We want it to go somewhere else.
Well, usually you get the warm weather destinations. I remember the one in New York where it was freezing. There wasn't a whole lot to do.
It froze the next day. It was nice. It was supposed to snow for the game. Yeah. They were expecting just colossal avalanche conditions.
Yes. Got lucky.
The next day. It all happened the next day.
Roger Goodell pushed the button, pushed the snow back a day, and we were able to play the game.
Yeah.
Now, do you think Atlanta, because we've had to wait it's been 19 years since we had a Super Bowl, and we had to open up a new stadium, lots of things have happened. Do you think we'll have to wait another 19 years before we get another Super Bowl?
I sure hope not. I would think with what Atlanta did, and the smiles on their faces, and the way that the fans here locally treated the guests that were coming in from all over the country, I think that if there was going to be a serious consideration, when you look at the NCAA football championships, when you've got the World Cup, when you've got Atlanta United, you've got a brand new stadium here, you've got some reasons to say, you know what, if we're going to keep Phoenix, we're going to keep New Orleans, and then the California, Texas, and Floridian states that have traditionally got the game, if you're going to add anybody, I think Atlanta did the job that they needed to say, put us in that consideration as well.
Well, I think the outcome of the game, maybe not being as high scoring in a shootout as a lot of people may would have wanted. We talked about that earlier. Maybe the fact that the game wasn't as exciting and it didn't come down to the wire like some of the other ones, because Brady has a history of games coming down to the wire. This is the biggest win he's had in Super Bowl history, and it's only 10 points in his history in the Super Bowl. So, do you think maybe the game brought it down a little bit because there were no issues, like we said?
Ratings were down.
Right.
And that may not be Atlanta related, but we'll see what the final numbers are, how much people spent while they were here. I think if the revenue was good enough, that speaks more than anything. You can talk about all the team colors. The NFL's team color is green. And if there was enough green to go around, then there should be some people there that in the executive decision-making process would at least want to say, you know what, let's talk a little bit more about Atlanta getting back in the mix. We've got Miami, you've got Tampa, you've got the new stadium in Los Angeles. There's a couple other places that are going to get it. Phoenix will get another one before we're even in the mix. But you've got to anticipate that we should make some solid bids, and who knows? I think we'll get one.
Right. Now, to wrap it up, last thing, you got to meet people, because you went downtown, you got to see some of the events, you got to meet some people, you got to see some of the sites, everything that was going on. You want to talk about that for a minute or two?
Radio Row. I work for 92.9 The Game here locally, and I got a pass to go there for the Friday edition of Radio Row. And I'll have to admit, earlier in the week I met T.O. at the airport. I saw him there, and that to me was like the introduction. Hey, they're coming into town, and they're going to be here, and there were people from all over. I walked in, and former teammate Morton Anderson was getting his credentials at the same time that I was standing in line. I kind of teased with the guy who was passing out the credentials. He was behind a desk. I said, hey, that guy there, he's got kroners. He doesn't pay in American dollars. He looked at me like I was goofy, but that was the way I knew Morton was going to hear that. And we walked in together, and there were people all over the place. This is about 8 in the morning. Morton did an interview right away with 92.9 The Game, and then his next 7 or 8 stops that he would make, 10, 15 minutes each, was just like all these other players. Jackie Slater was another Hall of Famer that was there. When I left, Eric Dickerson was just arriving. Jerry Rice was there. Emmett Smith. Talked to Michael Irvin for a little while. Lomas Brown. Mike Golick from ESPN. I talked to Kurt Manafee for a few moments. Talked to James Brown. Had a nice little comment with him and interaction. There were just guys left and right that were all over the place. Said hello to Jim Rome. Jim doesn't know me from a hole in the wall, but he's from Los Angeles and lives in Calabasas, went to high school out there. So left, right, in the middle, all over the place. There were people, the reporters, the media personalities, as well as some of the players and coaches that made the game great. It was really a wonderful experience. If anybody ever gets a chance to be a part of not just the NFL experience, but to get a pass or somehow or another get on Radio Row, even just for a few hours, it'll be worth your while.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up. So if you watched the video this far, give a like, subscribe if you haven't, comment, tell us how we're doing, whatever you need to do. Best Podcast, Super Bowl wrap-up show. Thank you for watching.
Appreciate it.